Welcome back to another installment of Drinking and Drafting. This is our second Dragon's Maze draft, filmed on Wednesday, May 8th, 2013. So we go ahead and open up the first pack, which is Dragon's Maze. Right off the bat, I've got a Zerta Ancient, Orzhov Guildgate, Putrefy, which is probably the pick that I'm going to grab. Far and Away, which is pretty amazing. Zerta Druid, Weapon Surge, Thrashing Moss Dog. Some interesting stuff that can wheel, but Putrefy is my choice. It's the best removal in this set. This pack got Maze Abomination is a notable, Maze Glider, two of my favorite Maze big guys. Rakdos, the Carnage Gladiator, the Simic 6/6 that bounces, and Dragon Shift. I go ahead and take the Maze Abomination. He's a pretty big bomb most of the time. This pack, Crawl Warrior is a good pick. Wake the Reflections isn't playable. Alive and Well. Bronzebeak Moa is a bomb of its own, and if you set creatures on tempo, it's a 5/5 every turn, so I go ahead and take the Moa. And if you can get some Populate going, it's just insane. This pack, Steeple Rock, Murmuring Phantasm, Flux Charger, Riot Piker, Nivik Cyclops, Weapon Surge. I go ahead and take the Fatal Fumes, though. It's removal most of the time, although albeit a bit conditional. Here's another Maze Abomination. Got Fido Burst, and I just go ahead and take another Maze Abomination. In this pack, you can see I've got like a Crypt Incursion, a Gruul Keystone, a couple of Gatekeepers, but Maw the Obsidian is the obvious pick here. He's just a bomb, and he pairs with so much in this format. This pack, Riot, Piker, Weapon Surge, Gruul, Guildgate. I go ahead and take the Steeple Rock. It's already in my colors, and it's a first strike is something not necessarily to gawk at. This pack, Alive and Well, Possibility Storm, Hidden Strings. Alive and Well is the only card in my colors and that I would play out of that pack. So this pack, it's pretty obvious. It's the Guildgate. There's a lot of red in that pack, and nothing good in my colors. This, I just go ahead and take a Rakdos Cluestone in case I need to splash into red. I'm not a fan of Cluestones, but I guess if you're stretched across colors, they're pretty good. This pack, it's the Cerulean Gatekeepers. I don't have enough gates right now, and then a Maze Glider, but if I get there, I get there. This one, I go ahead and take the Gatekeepers that steals an opponent's creature, and last pick, Riot Piker. I think red is pretty open, but I guess I'm just going to see where it goes, see if I need to splash red or if I need to change colors. Sometimes you get stuck in a vacuum and you kind of forget to read signals and stuff. So this pack's pretty interesting. Got Executioner Swing is what I end up taking just because it's straight removal most of the time. Seneca Tide straight in this pack, which is one of the best bears in the format. Grizzly Spectacle, which is great removal. Urban Evolution, Consuming Aberration. I end up taking the Consuming Aberration. That's probably wrong in retrospect. He's a bomb, but removal is just, especially instant speed removal, is very important. I've got another Executioner Swing, a Basilica Guards. I end up taking the Guards because extorting can be the difference between losing and winning in late games. Orzhov Charm in this one, Court Street Denizen, Mugging, Kingpin's Pet, and Zerichi Tiger. I go ahead and take the Orzhov Charm. It can be used as removal. In fact, it usually is used as removal. This pack, Death's Approach, Millennial Gargoyle, Dimir Charm. Death's Approach is good. It means that I'm not having to splash blue, and it's usually better mid to late game, just because your graveyard or their graveyard's full of creatures. That pack was kind of unexciting, so I take the Battalion 3/5. Duskmantle Seer in this pack, and another Orzhov Guildgate. I go ahead and take the Duskmantle. I decided to try to splash blue. That's maybe an iffy decision. I don't know if he's actually worth playing around, especially since I have so many big drops. In that pack, I take a Homing Lightning, and as you can see, I see another Homing Lightning, Corpse Blockade, Dimir Charm, Thrall Parasite. I go ahead and take the Dimir Charm. This, Syndicate Enforcer and a Spell Rupture. I go ahead and take the Spell Rupture. It's obvious that I'm trying to splash blue it somewhat. I take the Zerichi Tiger, and then Mortis Strider, although I won't play it probably, and then the Black Denizen. Takes us to the third pack. Right off the bat, I have a Tristani, which is a mythic, and it's pretty amazing in this format, a 2/5. And if you can get that 3 mana Populate engine going, It's pretty unstoppable. So I just look through the pack to see what else is in there, and I slam it. This Golgari Longlegs, Seller Songbird, Sewer Shambler, the Gate Creeper Vine, I mean, there's just a lot in here for me. I go ahead and take the Vidugazi Guildmage, though, because if you've got mana, she's an amazing mana sink that can be pretty unstoppable. This pack, Ash Zealot, Eyes in the Skies is what I'm taking, but other noticeables are like Selesnya Kieran. In this, Knightly Valor, Hallowed Fountain, Dispel, which is an interesting, sideboard card if it ends up being relevant. The sorcery that creates 2/4/4 tramplers, so just things to note. This Fencing Ace, Tristani's Judgment, Eyes in the Skies. Tristani's Judgment is probably the pick. It's instant speed, and if I happen to get a populate target, it's pretty amazing. This pack got Chorus of Might, Call of the Conclave is what I end up taking, but Azorius Charm's also in the pack, which is pretty awesome. But in this pack, Street Spasm, I end up taking Azorius Arrestor, but Street Spasm is interesting to note. It's so amazing. If I was more in red, I would take it. This pack, Slaughter Games, Dryad Militant. I go ahead and take the Security Blockade because I'm trying to go along the Populate route, and it's a pretty solid card. This one, Paralyzing Grasp, I go ahead and take the Keening Apparition because it helps get rid of all those pesky enchantments in this set, especially because we're split across all three now. Pretty late, Overgrown Tomb, which I'm more than happy to take. As you kind of notice the pack numbers increase, someone screwed up somewhere and added cards, so... but basically the rest of these cards are unplayable except Transguild Promenade, which I will happily play. And this is my deck, aside from lands, so you can see my curve and so forth. But that brings us to round one. It's me versus Meghan. She's a newer player in our group. She's drafted before. She's not that new to Magic, but she joined us after we recently met her at the Gaming Pit, our local gaming store. So as you can see, she plays a Cloudfin Raptor. My turn 2, I go ahead and play Vitu-Ghazi Guildmage. And pass the turn back to her. She, turn 3, plays a Gate Creeper Vine. Goes ahead and gets a Guild Gate. I had to remind her it actually, that Evolve triggers off both power and toughness. So she goes ahead and gets the Evolve, swings for 1, taking me down to 19. I then go ahead and swing with my 2/2. She doesn't block, takes it. Then I go ahead and Orzhov Charm the Cloudfin Raptor before it gets any bigger. So she's at 18, I'm at 17. I then pass the turn back to her. She goes ahead and plays the Croconura and an Izzet Guildgate and passes the turn. I go ahead and swing. She doesn't block in case I have any sort of trick to kill her Croconura. I go ahead and pay 2 for a Keening Apparition and pass. She plays a 5th land and goes ahead and plays... he's the 2/5 that he gets Vigilance if you own a gate. And that evolves the Croconura, so she swings in, taking me to 15. I go ahead and pay 3 to main phase Putrefy, the 2/5. Just to get more aggro so I can swing in for 4, taking her down to 12. Again, I'm not sure if that was right long term. I don't know what's in her hand, if she has something else to evolve Croconura, so I can't assume that she does. But she does end up having it. Croconura gets bigger. She swings in, taking me to 12. At this point, we're locked up on life totals, but she has a better board presence. Again, I haven't seen the rest of her deck, but there's a good chance she might have something else to evolve the Croconura past a 3/5. She goes ahead and pays 3 for a Loxodon Smiter, again evolving the Croconura. I go ahead and chump the Keening Apparition to the Croconura, take 3, go to 9, and then I pay a white and a black to Executioner Swing the Croconura just to finish it off. Executioner Swing is such a conditional piece of removal, and anytime I can find a time to use it, I would. I go ahead and pay 3 for Basilica Guards. Theoretically, the Basilica Guards allows me to chump, but I go ahead and chump the Loxodon Smiter. I was going to use it if she attacked in with a 3/4 to basically negate the attack. She then plays her 8th land and plays the Horncaller's Chant, so she gets 2/4/4 trampling rhinos. Pretty unfortunate at this point. I go ahead and pay 2 for an Azorius Arrestor. Arrest one of the trampling rhinos, just because it's harder to chump, that sort of thing, and pass back. I'm pretty sure there's nothing I can top deck at this point, but I never like to quit before I absolutely, know there's no way. So she swings in with her 3. I go ahead and chump and take 7, go to 2. She then plays a Metropolis Sprite, and I draw Tristani's Judgment. So go ahead and scoop, and that takes us to game 2. I lead off with an Orzhov Guildgate. She plays an island. I play a Plains and Keening Apparition. And I pass back to her. She goes ahead and plays a Metropolis Sprite and passes. And then go ahead and swing. There's no way she can pump the Metropolis Sprite, so I'm essentially getting her for more damage. And if we're racing, she's going to have to spend mana to catch up with damage that I've done. So that's what she does with her turn. I'm fine with it. I go ahead and swing back, taking her to 16. And then I pass. She swings again, no pumps, so just takes me to 17. And she plays a Bronzebeak Moa, which, as I described during the drafting, can get pretty insane if you have a lot of creatures. I go ahead and play an Azorius Arrestor, detain the Moa, and swing in for 2. I don't want her dropping or comboing or anything her next turn. If I can delay that as much as possible. She swings with the Sprite, does pump, takes me to 15, and plays a Smiter. I get my 6th land, and I go ahead and pass. At this point, she obviously has a better board state, but just seeing what I can... She plays the 2/5 that can get Vigilance again, triggering the Moa. And she decides to swing with the team. I chump the Moa and go down to 10. I then top deck a Maze Abomination, which is pretty good against the board state. It can profitably block the Smiter. Or I can take out the Moa if the Moa gets huge. I've got options, basically. She goes ahead and plays the Runewing and swings with just the Moa and the Metropolis Sprite. I decide to take out the Moa, and I go down to 9 from the Sprite. And I draw another land. Unfortunately, I'm pretty full of lands at this point. Kind of getting flooded. And she's definitely out-tempoing me. She's basically played something or a creature every turn. She plays Way of the Gates, I think is what it's called. It's a +2/+2 and unblockable if you control a gate. Decides to swing in. Because I have Keening Apparition, I can do that cool thing where, I block something and I sack it to remove the enchantment to save extra damage. So that means I take, 5 and go down to 4. But I have no creatures and she has 4 creatures, so I go ahead and present that I have cards I can't play because I have no green. That takes us to round 2. It's me versus Michael. He's on the play. He goes ahead and plays a Guildgate and passes. I play a Forest and pass back. So at this point I know he's white and blue. I don't know anything else about his deck. I try to be completely surprised. He plays another Plains and drops a Windrake. I drop a 3rd land and go ahead and put Security Blockade on a Plains. That gets me a 2/2 Vigilance Knight, and he goes ahead and puts Holy Mantle. He's all out flying aggro here. Goes ahead and takes me down to 16. I go ahead and play a 4th land, bash for 2. Good thing about Vigilance is he's now also kept back as a blocker. Then I pay 4 for a Bronzebeak Moa. If I can tempo in right, Bronzebeak Moa can help me get back in the game. I'm now at 12 because of another bash with a 4/4 Drake. I go ahead and play Eyes in the Skies, which puts Moa at an 8/8, and he Azorius Charms him back on the library. Michael still takes 2, so he goes to 16. But it's pretty obvious that Michael's winning this race, at least thus far. He bashes again for 4, taking me down to 8, and plays a Court Street Denizen. I go ahead and bash with everything. If he's willing to trade, that's fine because I can't do anything about the Drake with my knight on the ground anyways. I then pay 4 for the Moa again. I'm only 2 turns away, at least from the clock he's currently got me on. With the Windrake, he takes me down to 4. I've technically got another turn if I don't untap the security blockade because I can use it to prevent one of the damages. I go ahead and attempt to putrefy his Windrake, but he mind statics it, and I go ahead and scoop. It's not much I can do from there. I can prevent 1 extra damage, which would have saved me a turn, but I don't think there's anything in my deck that would have brought me back. So this game, he has a Dryad Militant, bashes for 2 and plays a Disciple of the Old Ways. I play a 3rd land and then play a security blockade again. So I get my 2/2 Vigilance Knight and pass back. I'm going to go ahead and take the damage this turn because I can still swing in with the Vigilance Knight and be able to block next turn if I need to or whatever happens. So he's at 18, I'm at 14, and then I put Cerulean Gatekeepers, which is a great blocker against his 2 powered guys. And then basically pass. He puts Holy Mantle on Disciple of Old Ways and swings with just it. Takes me down to 10. I then play an Orzhov Guildgate and decide to bash with the 2/2 Vigilance Knight. He decides not to block and takes him down to 16. He swings with the Disciple. I go ahead and use Security Blockade to prevent 1 of that, but still goes down to 7. I'm on a pretty short clock. I bash for 2 again. He swings for 4. I prevent the 1, go to 4. Bash again. Then I pay 2 for a Keening Apparition. Pretty good answer to his enchantment, but you know, it still has the unfortunate side effect. He goes ahead and takes 2 off of Hallowed Fountain, so I should know he has something. I go ahead and sack it to remove the enchantment and then block with Cerulean Gatekeepers. He then has to use Selesnya Charm, you know, to not lose his Disciple. He then passes back. I go ahead and bash. He doesn't block, so 8 to 4 here. I then play Maze Abomination. He then go ahead and bashes for both, and I block like so. He puts Azorius Charm to put the Maze Abomination back on my library and trades for that. And then he plays, I forget, it's the Scavenger. It's not Thrashing Moss Dog, it's one from the original Ravnica. I then play the Maze Abomination again. He goes ahead and plays Give to put 3 counters on Disciple, so that I can trade there, and I prevent 1, so I only take 2 off of his 3/3.
I don't even know if I have another person. I assume I do. Awesome.
I then go ahead and pay 5 for Alive and Well. Gives me a 3/3, and I gain 2 life, so I go back up to 4. And then I still have Security Blockade up if I decide not to block or whatever happens. He pays 5 for Species Gorger. Means he's got to bounce something during his upkeep. I drew an Orzhov Charm, but unfortunately, with my life total, it's not a good removal spell, unfortunately, because it'll almost kill me. He bounces that to his hand. He then puts Unflinching Courage on Species Gorger, and that's it for me, so I concede. So since I didn't do well, I went ahead and filmed the actual finals, which is Chase versus David. They start off, first play of the game is Grim Roustabout, and he did Unleash. So he's a 2/2, can't block, but he can pay 2 to regenerate. David then plays Tithe Drinker, which is a 2/1 lifelink extorter. David doesn't block because, you know, regenerate, why would you? And so he goes to 18. He then swings in with his Tithe Drinker, swaps, and then goes back up to 20. He then pays 3 for a Cluestone and passes. And it's an Orzhov Cluestone if if you're curious. Chase then swings in for another 2, taking him down to 18. Plays a Rakdos Drake Unleash, so he's now a 2/3 flyer that can't block. And David has no board presence at the moment. So it's an interesting note. He pays 2 for a Keening Apparition, and then passes. Chase swings with the team. He goes ahead and chumps, which is weird because, you know, he doesn't lose his... Chase doesn't lose his Grim Roustabout, but David lost a creature, so... David plays a Riot Piker and passes. Chase then swings for 2, taking David down to 14. And then Chase drops a Gutter Skulk and a Center Elemental. David swings because he has to. And then takes Chase down to 18. He then plays an Assemble the Legion. So every turn he's going to get an increasing number of creatures. With that swing, David goes down to 6. So he does get 1/1/1 this turn. He has to swing, so he takes David down to, or he takes Chase down to 15. He then plays Goblin Rally, which gets him 4 1/1s. They're 4 1/1 goblins, if you're curious. So he's got chumpers for days, basically, including an increasing number of chumpers. David go ahead and concedes. He can't keep blocking in the air. He has nothing to prevent that damage from coming in the air, so he goes ahead and concedes. David then goes first and starts off with the first play as a Skinbrand Goblin to match up with Chase's now Gutter Skulk. So 2/1, 2/2. It's a bear battle. He swings in and Chase decides to take it. He then David plays a Burning Tree Emissary into a Sewer Shambler. Pretty interesting. He then blocks Chase's Gutter Skulk with a Sewer Shambler, and Chase plays one of his own. David plays a 4th land. An Azorius Arrestor locked down the Sewer Shambler to swing for 4, so Chase is at 14. Chase then plays the Carnage Gladiator, I think is its name. The 4/2 regenerate. Whenever a creature blocks, it deals 2 damage to its controller. Chase then swings, or David swings, Chase blocks. Chase goes down to 10 because of Weapon Surge, like gets him for a strike. He then he plays Night Watch to get 2/2/2s. It didn't matter because he ended up killing them right away, but he actually didn't have the mana. Chase then mugs to get rid of the Burning Tree Emissary, and so it's 10 to 16. It's quite a lot of swinging and removing and going back and forth. David then scavenges the Sewer Shambler onto Azorius Arrestor and swings for 6, taking Chase down to 4. I have it incorrectly on the screen, but don't worry. And then Chase plays a Master of Cruelties, the 1/4 first striking Death Touch that he can only attack alone, and if unblocked, he takes the opponent's life total down to 1. Chase then Augur Sprees his Azorius Arrestor, plays Annihilating Fire at the Skinbrand, and then swings with the Master of Cruelties. He goes ahead and plays Eyes in the Skies. So he gets true bird tokens. He's going to chump, and then he'll still have a chumper for next turn or whatever he needs to do. He then pays 2 for a Keening Apparition. As you can see, he has the white and black Profit and Loss dual split card in his hand, but he doesn't have the mana to also play that. After Master of Cruelties, he takes David down to 1. Active Treason to steal his creature, and he's got him down to 0. So this is game 3 in the finals. Chase plays first. David forgot to draw during his turn, so that was what that was at the beginning. Chase starts off with another Grim Roustabout. Seems to be one of his favorite creatures on turn 2. David then plays the Wojak Halberdiers, and Chase offers up the trade, which is right because he has Regenerate, and then plays a Gutter Skulk. which you're always willing to trade for a 3-2 anyways. So David goes ahead and plays a Keening Apparition and passes. Swings with the Grim Roustabout again. David's down to 16. David goes ahead and swings with the Keening Apparition, offer the trade, and plays a Riot Piker, as well as a Skinbrand Goblin. Chase then annihilating fires the Wojcik Halberdiers. He doesn't want that battalion triggering. It's harder to deal with a 3-2 first striker than it is a 2-3 first striker. Chase then plays Rakdos Drake Unleashed. So 18 to 14 are the life totals. David swings with the team. He has to swing with a Riot Piker, but Chase goes down to 12. He then plays a Tithe Drinker and passes. Chase swings, taking David down to 10. David plays a Boros Mastiff and decides to extort for 1. So Chase is 11, David's at 11. David then swings with 8 power. Chase decides to block the Tithe Drinker. It takes him down to 5, and David goes up to 13. And Chase has all lands, so he concedes.